Yes, people. It's Jacob on the one up top. It's been an extremely long time, it feels like, since I've posted anything. But I committed myself to, spending the summer not stressing about this thing here. At the minute, it looks like I'm reporting from a jail cell. Looks like I'm about to have my mugshot took. Um, but yeah, it's been a long summer. It's a summer that's dragged on for a lot of reasons, which is why I felt that I've got to jump back on it. Before you hear me out on what I'm going to waffle on about with Spurs, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, do all of that. I've got a lot coming up. I've got a lot of people that want to jump on and do some stuff with me. So, in due course, I'm going to be having people on my show, doing some live streams. I've took the week off annual leave just so I can refocus that and get my show on the roll. But for the next couple of weeks, let's say, I'll just be doing what I normally do with my match reactions and stuff like that. I'm tempted to do one after the Barcelona game tonight, but more likely be after Brentford on Sunday. So yeah, without further ado, we'll get into it. And the first thing I'm going to speak about is, for obvious reasons, another story that's dragged on, which has dragged on too much for me, is this nonsense with Harry Kane. And I'm going to have my viewpoint on it, Harry Kane's, arguably, without foul, Tottenham's, well, he's definitely Tottenham's best ever goal scorer, because that fact's proven. And in my lifetime as a Spurs player, Spurs fan, sorry, probably been our best player. He's an ultimate professional, gets his head down and bangs goals, and rightly so. No club within their right mind would want to lose him, because you don't get too many players like Harry Kane. Because at the minute, for me, if someone says who do you compare Harry Kane to, as in players in the past, there isn't been many players like Harry Kane in the past. So is there going to be many in the future? Nobody really knows. But yeah, with this saga thing, I've got a different take on it, because I'm hearing a lot of people talk about, Harry Kane should come out and speak out. Harry Kane's ruining his legacy at Spurs. Like, for me, people that think like that, I'll go as far as, without being rude, you're just stupid, right? What you got to do is understand that Harry Kane signed a 6-year deal, which is one thing I think he's at fault at, because him and his agent collectively shouldn't have signed a deal like that, especially with a club like Spurs and a chairman like Daniel Levy. You're basically selling your soul to the devil. But it was done. Now, I believe there was a gentleman's agreement between the player and the chairman, which naturally our chairman would break. You don't make a gentleman's agreement with the devil. It's just you don't do it, and that's what he's done. So from there, if there's a gentleman's agreement, be a gentleman. And he wasn't. So it's got to the point where, if I'm Harry Kane and I couldn't go to Man City, but then I decided to get my head down and play for Tottenham, and then I'm watching Haaland do what he's doing for Man City, getting on the end of De Bruyne balls, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, all these guys. And even though Haaland's a top striker, a lot of the goals are made easy for him because of the players that he's surrounded by. And you got Harry Kane scoring 6 less goals than the guy, being supplied by people like, Højbjerg, all these guys. Like, I don't even, in my mind, Harry Kane scored that many goals. I can't even think who was assisting him. Do you know what I mean? Like, Kulusevski had a stinker. Son had a stinker. We never had a number 10. I know it weren't Ollie Skip. I know it weren't Højbjerg. Basuma was injured for a lot of the season. Possibly Bentancur, but again, he was out for the latter part of the season. So Harry Kane was scoring a lot of goals off his own doing and penalties and stuff. So, if I'm Harry Kane and I'm looking at Haaland win the treble, and the goals being scored laid on the plate for him quite a lot, that would aggravate me even more. So, I'm going to get to the stage where no matter what you offer me, I'm not going to sign it, because I don't have to, because I'm in the driving seat now. So Harry Kane can easily say, if I stay at Tottenham this season and score 30 goals, I'm even closer to Alan Shearer's record, And if it's that important to me, when it gets to that stage, if Man United have took it up another notch, or somehow Haaland wants to leave Man City, Liverpool, all these other big clubs, Chelsea even, if they're in the Champions League and Tottenham aren't, I can go there and just make sure that I get my record along with trophies. If he wants to stay at Tottenham, he can do that. He can do what he wants. So people cussing out cussing out Harry Kane are just stupid. For me, you need to cuss out Daniel Levy, which I'm seeing a lot of people giving Daniel Levy praise because he turns down this final bid. For me, it's like he's done this before. And what he does is he puts these players in a position where it's going to go back and forth, knowing that he's going to win the battle in terms of you're not having my player, you're not having my prize, that's it. Us as Tottenham fans spend the whole summer hoping that the player don't leave. So then when Daniel Levy finally says he's not playing after 5-6 weeks of a load of bollocks, all of a sudden the Tottenham fans that didn't like Daniel Levy start coming out and going, oh, this is why he's the best chairman in the business. Meanwhile, we've spent 6 weeks thinking about Harry Kane, thinking about, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Bayern Munich come in London. You got news reporters taking a piss out of us. We spent 5 weeks focusing on that. And then now that Harry Kane looks like he's not going to stay, we then bring in a defender that we've wanted from the beginning of the summer, 4 days or whatever it is before we played Brentford. Why was Mickey van de Ven not bought like 3 weeks ago? Why? Because Tottenham fans were too busy focusing on Harry Kane. Daniel Levy knew that. And a lot of Tottenham fans are just puppets. But I kept saying to so many of my mates that support Spurs as well as Arsenal, Daniel Levy is just doing this so there's less time to spend money. So now we go into Brentford. Mickey van de Ven, is he going to be ready? Who knows? But because we've waited so long and we're starved of transfers, year after year after year, we're going to get this Mickey van de Ven. And nobody's really watched him, but everybody, I'm seeing people going, this is what we needed. Now, when you look at YouTube clips gives you an idea of what he's about. So he looks quick. He looks agile. He looks very ropey. He looks like he could be an all-rounder. But like I always say to people, if I got my daughter to watch me 11 aside for 10 weeks and record all the game, and then I watched all of them games and took bits out, I'd look sick on YouTube. Trust me. But then if you watch every game, half the time, I'm knackered. So, again, this Mickey van de Ven, I go, and I'll be honest, I'm not one of these fans that says I watch Wolfsburg. I don't. But I go off the fact that I've played Football Manager. Football Manager sends scouts across Europe. I go off the fact that, you watch a couple of YouTube clips and you go by what a lot of the trusted German journalists and football journalists say. So when people say, when we're talking about Vicario, for instance, when he comes in and a goalkeeper, I'd never heard of him, but when Buffon comes along and says this is a highly rated goalkeeper and I see him going far, and he says that before he joins Tottenham, I kind of think I'll roll with that. But then I'll still make my judgment come Brentford, Man United in the first 2 games. But then going back to it, that's the reason why Tottenham will never go anywhere. And Daniel Levy will always mug this club off, because it's so easy for Tottenham fans to get happy and to get excited. Harry Kane, they reject the final bid. And there's Tottenham fans that I've been hearing saying Levy out, Levy out, Levy out, Levy out from the minute that I've known them. But all of a sudden they're calling Daniel Levy this bold, beautiful man. I love Daniel. What? Give your head a wobble, man. I can't stand you, Daniel, because it's one of the ones. If we were going to keep Harry Kane, just come out and tell us and Harry Kane, you ain't going anywhere. Harry Kane can concentrate on his football. We can concentrate on the fact that, okay, Ange's trying to build a team around Harry Kane. You know what I mean? I have to wait till last week's friendly against Shakhtar to Harry Kane to be put into the starting lineup to get an idea that he might not be leaving. What are we doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're going into Brentford. Mickey van de Ven might not be ready. So you're telling me that we're going into Brentford with potentially Ben Davies at centre-half. Like, that's never been okay. We might go into Brentford and get a result, but it's like I would prefer if Tottenham operated like Sir Alex Ferguson did back in the day. Man United were the biggest team. Everybody wanted to go there, but he would go and get Rooney, Tevez, Berbatov, Michael Carrick, all of them guys. He'd go and get them in a summer. No messing around. So the season would end, they're treble winners, or they've won the league again, or da-da-da-da. Within 4 weeks, you'd find out Roy Keane's left, we're getting this guy in. David Beckham doesn't fancy it anymore. He gets a boot up the head, you're off. Dwight York, not too sure. All right, see you later, mate. Van Nistelrooy. Every summer he did this. Oh, we like the boy Rooney. 2 weeks in, come here. Rio Ferdinand, young talent. Every time. So by the time they went to Bangkok or Japan or wherever they were going to do their pre-season friendlies, you would watch Man United friendlies and see what Fergie's trying to do, and he weren't coming back to buy any more players. And even, players would get injured in pre-season. He would have cover. He'd have your Solskjaers. He'd have, Rooney would have to play out of position. A Darren Fletcher would come in. Johnny Evans, Ronnie Johnson. These were players that he's like, no matter if you get injured tomorrow, don't worry, we've got ready-made replacements. Meanwhile, our whole defence is crap. Like, it's got to the point where I'll comfortably say none of them would give me any confidence that we're going to do well. Like, Romero's a good defender, but then he's that defender that you tell him to chill out, within 2 minutes he's kicking people. We still got Davinson Sanchez. Ben Davies is playing centre-half in our friendlies, and even though he hasn't been too bad, these are friendlies. Do you know what I mean? Mickey van der Veen's going to come in, but I'd like to have thought that he would have played with Romero 2-3 games, played against Shakhtar, played against Barcelona. All of a sudden, we're going into that game knowing that it's Romero, Van der Ven, Adoji, and Pedro Porro. I'm going into that game going, sweet, no problems. Let's go. New defence, let's go. New keeper, let's go. But I'm now, Van der Veen's just come out now. Like, there's players being rested for this Barcelona game because we've got a game in 4 or 5 days. But we've just signed the centre-half that we apparently need. But then Tottenham fans are all going mad, this. But I'm questioning why it took so long. It's because Daniel Levy doesn't want to spend the money. Trust me. You'll see. We'll get Van der Veen. We'll go and get somebody else. And then come the season, that's when everybody will be like, well, why have we not got this? Why have we not got that? Why have we not got this? And there'll be people sticking up for Daniel Levy saying he didn't, with this Harry Kane saga, he didn't have enough time. Do you know what I mean? Like, Tottenham, for me, in Daniel Levy's stewardship, are like that man that doesn't know what he wants in a woman, right? If you're a man of, say, 25 plus and you're single and you've never been married or you've never had a serious relationship, the likelihood is because you've been picky, right? You've been picky and you haven't looked at yourself. So if I look at Tottenham, let's say Tottenham's managers over the last 20 years are I'm using that analogy as they're women, right? Pochettino's the sexy woman, the woman that looks fire. Everywhere you go, you think this woman is ridiculous. The problem is, this woman ain't a winner. You know what I mean? She'll do everything, but there's just something missing always. It gets to the point you get intimate with her, just doesn't feel right. Even though she looks beautiful, doesn't feel right. So it gets to the point you dump that woman. And you as a Tottenham man, someone comes and goes, oh, that woman was nice, man. What was wrong? Just wasn't cutting the mustard in bed. All right, then, cool. So what are you going to do next? I'm going to go to an old school woman. Somebody that, knows what a man wants. A little bit older. Conte, Mourinho. These are all your older women. These are your cougars, man. They know what a man wants. But then when you don't invest your time in them, they're going to leave quite quickly. So a cougar of 50 years old, if you're my age and you're 38 and you're going for a woman that's 50, 55, she ain't gonna take your nonsense. If you're wasting time and, you're not giving her what she wants, but she's giving you everything you desire, she's gone, mate. So then it gets to the point, then what? Now you're going back to, now you're confused. Now we go for Ange. Is Ange a serial winner? Yeah, but in Scotland. So he's, for me, a lot of Tottenham fans are getting excited by Ange ball, and I get it because it's fast attacking football, possession based. But people ain't giving their head a wobble. What you got to understand is the reason why you're getting so obsessed and so, it's Ange this, Ange that, is for the sheer fact that it's been dead for 4 years. We've had dinosaur football. We've had Nuno, we've had Mourinho, we've had Mason, and we've had Conte. Backwards football, off the front foot, counter-attack all the time. We're a counter-attacking team that don't attack effectively. Like, we got a lot of goals in Kane and Son, but there was times where we would just sit there for the whole of the 90 minutes, hoping that we'd get a 1-0. But when Liverpool take a 3-0 lead, we're struggling. Man City take a 4-0 lead, struggling. Newcastle a 5-1 up, struggling. Don't know what a plan B is. So what it is that I'll go as far as saying, if we brought in Alan Pardew into this team, Alan Pardew was a relatively attacking, coach. He had Newcastle playing wicked. There was a time where he had West Ham playing wicked. There was a time where he had Crystal Palace playing good. Now, all he was doing was he likes attacking football. So any manager that likes forward football would have made us look good, because we had 4 defensive coaches that did not want any players to do that. You'd have Højbjerg passing sideways. If it wasn't him, it was Skip. You had someone like Harry Winks that I feel was let down by all these coaches, because he's somebody that used to pick up the ball and move forward. As soon as it's Harry Winks play sideways, play backwards to keep position and negative football, a lot of our fan base would cuss Harry Winks. But Harry Winks was, when he called Miniesta under Pochettino. Why? Because he would get the ball and play it forward. So what it is if you're somebody that's excited by Ange football, you're not excited by the fact it's the coach Ange. You're excited by the fact that for 4 years you haven't seen the ball go forward so quickly. That's the reason why. I'll go as far as saying, if someone said to me for the pre-season friendlies, go into the changing room and tell the players what you expect to see, I won't be as analytical as an Ange or a top-level football coach, because that's not me. But if I said to them, look, boys, we need to go forward. I need Pedro Paul. I need you bombing down that side. Udogie, Son, Kulusevski, just do your thing forward. You got Maddison here creating. Me speaking to the lads for half an hour would make them, they'd probably relieve themselves. They probably wanted to do this whole time under Conte, Mourinho and all these Nunos. But they weren't allowed to because they were restricted. So they would have got excited by Ange coming in when he's saying, right, we're going to do drills. What's that? Forward passing, forward passing, forward passing. They'd have been like, thank the Lord. So, for me, I'm a realist. It gets to the point, if you want me to be excited about how it goes on with Tottenham, I need to see the stats that we saw against Shakhtar Donetsk, against Brentford. It should be light work. Everyone's going on about that we beat Shakhtar 5-1, their Champions League regulars, right? I'll name you some other Champions League regulars. Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, not of recently, but have been regulars. Man City, Chelsea, right? These are guys that are, Champions League regulars, are they not? But with Tottenham, every season, whenever we have a battle against the supposed other top 6 or top 7 rivals, we always struggle. We're predominantly at the bottom of these piles and the head-to-heads. But they're Champions League regulars as well, so what does that matter? Now, if you're telling me we're going to go and play Arsenal, we're going to go and play these games, well, I'm not going to go and beat them 5-1, I'm a realist, like I said. But at the same time, if you're telling me we're going to have those type of possession stats against a Shakhtar are probably as good as a Brighton and Aston Villa. So we should be going up to them and spanking them, 27 shots, 14. If we're going to take that friendly serious, we should be going to Brentford and absolutely annihilate them. But Brentford's a different kettle of fish. And for me, it's like we're going to go away. They're going to be, it's going to be bouncing. It's a Sunday afternoon. Can you fans tell me that because we beat 5-1 and Ben Davies looked accustomed, is he going to be ready for Brentford? I don't think so. I'm not going to sit there and have confidence. He might have a good game, but no. Emerson Royal, he's pre-season. He hasn't showed me anything different. He's improved from when he first come on the stage, but has he showed me that I'm going to be confident that we've got a right back that we can rely on in big games? No. Nor is Pedro Porro. I'm not seeing... The only thing I'm seeing different is the football being quicker. But I'm not one of these fans that's like... We've had some pre-season friendlies where we've absolutely battered teams. And then we've gone into the season and looked rubbish. Now, for me, what people are taking out of context and forgetting is fair enough we're not in Europe. So we've got a very good chance of attacking the Premier League and all the domestic competitions with the same 11 because it's week in, week out. There's no Europe to distract us. And then when other teams are playing in European competitions, we get the time to recuperate and work on drills and stuff. But then forget all that nonsense. What you got to understand is when you're a top team or any team, you can't just say to yourself you have two 11s, right? So the 11 that we're going to put out today to Barcelona, I want everybody to comment if you want. Are you confident that if everybody in our first 11 is injured, that we're going to be all right with them? Now, the answer in the majority will be a no. So if that's a no, then what you got to understand is players get injured, right? So I'm going to reel off a couple of players, and if they get injured, who we're bringing in from the squad that we've got now? Because I'll name one that people are not seeing. Now, James Maddison is a number 10, and we've been crying out for a number 10 for God knows how long. We had a number 10 in Ericsson, who for me should never have left, and we should have given him the contract because he was what kept the team together, right? But even with Ericsson, we were lucky that he wasn't injury prone, because if he got injured, who was our number 10? I think there's a couple of times we used to play Lamella in there. You know what I mean? Lamella. Like, that guy has never been a number 10. He's never been somebody that I've felt is going to create goals. He used to work his socks off and give his all, but he weren't great. But we're in the same position now. Like, you know, Maddison, wonderful signing. I've loved the player. I've wanted him at Spurs for God knows how long. I remember seeing him at Norwich and thinking he'd be all right in the Premier League. I didn't think he'd be as good as he was going to be. Good player, though. But if he gets injured in the game against Brentford, who's coming in at number 10? Ollie Skip. Because effectively, we would end up going back to a formation which wouldn't be creating that many goals because we haven't got another number 10 in the squad. You know, we've got players like Alfie Devine, who I hope Ange brings through, because he's a number 10 that needs the game time now. You know, if he's not going to be in the part of the squad in our domestic competitions, let's let him go out on loan to a Championship side or even a Premier League. I don't know, there might be a Premier League side. There could be a Bournemouth, even a Luton that have come up. You know, you make him available. All of a sudden, they might take him on board and think, you know, give him a season. Now, if he went to a Bournemouth and smashed it, whether they got relegated or stayed up, we know Alfie's ready. You know, if we're going to use him in our squad, I'm all for it, because there's got to be some talent in these youth squads, whether it be Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea. You know, we're looking at Man City, the young kid that scored a worldie in the Community Shield. You know, if Pep doesn't give him a chance, he's playing for Barnsley, and he might do that for Barnsley, but no one's talking about it. But because he's done it on the big stage against Arsenal, people, you know, all of a sudden the commentators are talking about, you know, maybe that's the reason why they sold Mahrez. So why are we not doing this with our Alfred Devines and all the other up-and-coming talent that we've got? But that's one example. You know, Richarlison, injury prone, is pretty clear. You know, if Harry Kane's injured, what happens then? Richarlison? Nah. Son has proved he can play up front, but I don't know. Is that going to be something that we're going to try and entertain? Okay. You know, there's certain bases that we've covered. You know, Solomon looks like a good prospect. I did like him at Fulham. And I like that he's going to give Son a kick up the backside. I hope that Ange doesn't do what other coaches have done, and no matter how badly Son's playing, he just keeps playing. Let Solomon have a run out. Let Brian Gill have a run out if Kulusevski's not doing well, because these are players that we're all going to need to integrate and do the best, because we haven't got the best squad, so everybody's going to need to chip in and do their part, and that's on Ange to do. Now, I'm looking at midfield and attack like I've looked at. They're not the worst options, you know what I mean? If you get the best out of Kulusevski along with Brian Gill, it's not the worst two on the right hand flanks in the grand scheme of things. Son and Solomon, okay. Harry Kane and Richarlison, you know, if you get Richarlison banging goals, is it the worst? No. Maddison, Alfie Devine, okay. But then the problem for me is at the back. So let's say, like I said, our back four is Emerson Royal, Adoji, Van der Veen, and Romero. On paper, looks solid, you know, with the goalkeeper. Now, if Lloris hasn't left, along with all the other dross that we've got, imagine if 4 of the 5 get injured. So the keeper breaks his hand, Van der Veen's got a knock, Romero's suspended, and Adoji has also picked up a knock. You know, because these things can happen. Our back 4 then goes to Reguilon or Ryan Sessegnon, Eric Dyer, Sanchez, and Emerson Royal or Pedro Porro. Like, and that could happen, and we've got Man City away. So for me, it's like when people are shouting out Daniel Levy's wasted 5 weeks of everybody's time, because in them 5 weeks, he could have got Tapsoba over the line. He could have got Van de Ven. He could have still been getting players over the line, but because we are so stupid as a fan base, we're all concentrating on where Harry Kane's eating his dinner. So if Harry Kane's eating his food and he's eating, a sausage with a German beer, all of a sudden they're like, oh, that looks like he's going. There's people doing clickbaits about what Harry Kane's missus is doing because she liked 4 goals that he scored against Shakhtar, and that now means that Harry Kane's staying. People are just wasting their time. Well, I've just sat there for 5 weeks. Thought I'm not even going to do a video until I kind of figure out what's going on here. And I figured it out, but it's just confirmed in my eyes. If you people think that Daniel Levy's a legend, you're part of the reason why this club doesn't do well, because Daniel Levy just gets away with it. We're just wasting time, and then they're going to get the same fans that come out, and when Daniel Levy's in Chigwell, oh, it's Levy time. Bun Levy time. There should never be a Levy time. Levy time should be July. That should be Levy time. You go and get your defenders. You go and get your fullbacks. You go and get your centre midfielders. You get rid of your Sanchez's. You get rid of your Lloris's. We should be sat here right now with no dead wood. There shouldn't be anybody that I'm looking at. And if it's dead wood, it's like they're not on the bench. But the other day, I'm seeing Sanchez on the bench. And I don't mean to scapegoat him, because I do feel sorry for him. His mental health must be through the roof. But that's because Tottenham have kept him here when the fans know that he's not good enough. He probably knows he's not good enough. But then they're like, Davinson, come on, mate. We're 4-0 down to Arsenal. Come on you come. That game when he got booed. He got booed because his mental health's all over the place. He knows the fans ain't confident in him, but then, the manager's somehow confident in him. No, the old manager threw him under the bus. These Contes and all that, they know that Sanchez ain't good enough. That's why you're trying to sign Bastoni. But you chucked him out there to send a message to Daniel Levy, and Daniel Levy keeps him here, and it's crazy. So, with all the stuff that's gone on in the summer, that's me kind of wrapping up the summer stuff. I'm not going to go too much into the friendlies because, like I said, the friendlies it was decent play. I'm not going to say I'm excited, but I felt a lot better about what I saw. Maddison's come in and made it feel like we had him last season. He's done well. But, I'm not going to make my judgment until we play Brentford and then we play Man United. Simple as that. So, if we go to Brentford, Brentford's a hard place to go. I'm not going to sit there and say because we're Tottenham Hotspur, we've got a divine right to go and beat Brentford, because Brentford are a good side. They were one of my top 3 sides last season. So I was very impressed with the way they went about their business, transfer-wise and on the pitch, along with your clubs like Brighton and your Aston Villas. But, I only make my judgment as soon as the final whistle goes in the first game of the Premier League, or games like, when Arsenal played in the Community Shield. Again, that's a glorified friendly, but Arsenal fans and Man City fans will look at that and think, okay, maybe it's a taster, but it's not. Because if you look at the Charity Shield and then you watch how Arsenal and Man City are playing towards the end of the season, then you'll look at it and think, was that a good benchmark? Not really. You know what I mean? Like, Pep wouldn't be bringing off Haaland if that game mattered. Arteta wouldn't be bringing off Timber if that mattered, because he was having a blinder. So it's the same with us. It's like Harry Kane scores 4 goals. That's the only thing I look at and think will happen. If we've got Harry Kane, he will score loads of goals. Maddison will create. Kulusevski will run his socks off. But there's nothing new that I've learned about these players, apart from knowing what I knew last season, that these players aren't Conte players that are supposed to sit in blocks of 4 or 5 and soak up possession. These are the guys that prefer the modern way of football, which is the best way to play football, which is to press, energy, quick ideas, and effectively outrun your opponent. And if you do that, you'll win games. You look at Brighton, Aston Villa. They're in European football for that reason, because they played football the way it should be. And if we did that with the players that we've got, not saying that they were brilliant, but I think we get an extra sort of 8 to 10 points by playing football how it should be. So My message to Tottenham fans is get excited not because it's Ange, because we're playing football that we're supposed to. But Tottenham have played this football for years. We've been known as an attacking side with your Gareth Bales, your Modrics, Van der Vaart, Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Moussa Dembele, Wanyama. The list goes on. Aaron Lennon, Defoe. Still didn't win anything. Of major ilk anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, we won League Cups and stuff, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things, the amount of times we've been in places where we've been in the Champions League final, FA Cup finals, Carling Cup finals. Like, realistically, we've won 2 over the last sort of 20, 30 years, but we were probably in a position to win about 6, but we've bottled it. So it's just, I'm just trying to get a bit of balance, because the same Tottenham fans that are raving about us being Shakhtar 5-1 will be the same ones calling for Ange or Levy or Harry Kane if we don't get a result against Brentford. Those are the games that matter to me. You know, if we look forward to that, I'm not too sure what I think the lineup will be. I think we'll know more closer to the week. I'm hoping that we just chuck Van der Ven in. You know, he's got to learn at some point. I remember we bought Emerson Royal in. He came in sort of a week later. He's playing up against Wilfried Zaha, and everybody's thinking, "Cool, that's a test." And he actually did quite well. You know, he was knackered by the end of it, but I'd give that performance a 6 or 7 out of 10 against Wilfried Zaha. You know, he's put enough fullbacks on toast. So why can't we do it there? You know, they're not going to have Ivan Toney, but they've got strikers there. They've got players there that can influence and harry a lot of defenders. So for me, if Mickey comes in and does well, good. That'll put you in good stead, mate. Because the following game, you know, we're at home to Man United. So, you know, there's no point in sitting there going, "Oh, he's not ready for that, but is he ready for Man United?" Give him the Brentford game. Let him learn for the Brentford game. Boom, we got Man United. Let's go. The season started, man. But that's not on the player. That's not on the coach. That's on Daniel Levy bringing in this player 4 weeks too late. This guy should have been on tour. This guy should have been playing against Shakhtar, not watching it. You know what I mean? But it's one of those, man. As a fan base, we'll never learn, if I'm honest. It just gets to the point where everybody's getting excited. You know, if I'm honest, everybody's excited about the fact that we rejected a bid. You know, I'm not really bothered about what happened with all that, because if Bayern Munich come in with 120 million for Harry Kane, that 120 million ain't going on the team. So in my eyes, we might as well keep Harry Kane and let him go on a free, because then there's no money there for Daniel Levy to keep. And I hope that Harry Kane does that. Stays with us for a year. You know, we're not going to win a trophy, but if he won a trophy and left for free, I'd be like, love that. Daniel Levy don't get anything out of that. You're going to have sleepless nights, because you'll be looking at that bid that Bayern Munich made, wishing you'd take it, because that guy does not care about trophies. If he cared about trophies, we probably would have won the League Cup 2 years ago. And we didn't, because the manager got sacked a week before. So stop glorifying Daniel Levy because he's getting transfers over the line and rejecting bids, because that's his job as a chairman. You know what I mean? It's like glorifying me for being an operations manager, and they're like, "Why are you glorifying Jacob?" "Oh, because he's managing the operation. That's what I get paid to do." So don't glorify me, and I don't want praise for that. You know, I'm getting paid my wage to manage an operation. You know what I mean? It's like someone saying, "Oh, Jake, whew, well done for you know, spending the weekend with your kids." Well, that's my job title, to be with my kids. If it's up to me, I'd have them every day. But, you know, you got to go to work. You got other things you got to do. So it's the weekend. Well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me? I don't want to be glorified. I don't even need anybody to tell me that I'm a good dad, because I know I am. That's my job. But everybody's glorifying Daniel Levy for rejecting a bid. Oh, my days, man. What is the world coming to? But, yeah. So we go into Brentford next week. I'm excited because the football's back. And that's it. You know, I love football. I love talking about it with friends on YouTube channels, friends in the pub, friends at work. You know, I even like educating my kids on football. So, you know, I'm gonna wrap it up there. All I'm gonna do is let you know that in the next couple of days, I'll be doing another video it'd probably be the preview to it'd be the preview to the Brentford game. You know, I'll have a few more updates as to who's going to be playing. You know, what's happening with Harry Kane. You know, with Tottenham, there's always a madness. That's why I label these videos only fools and horses. You know, like I said, I'm going to be getting a couple of people on videos. I'm going to be doing a lot of streams. You know, I've got a lot of people within the Tottenham community that have given me more than ample time. They've let me jump on their shows. They're forever messaging me every week. I've got my day ones, you know, shout out, time added on. I've got Alan Clark, Ryan Madden, you know, Mark and Kirsty. They're the people that helped me on and gave me the confidence to do this stuff. You know, I've got people that I'm on with now. I've got Tommy on the Hotspur Hood, which I do a Tuesday show with him every week. Again, he's given me the platform. I spoke to so many people on there. There's just so many people that have given me a lot of time. And I'm one of them people that if you give me time and help me win, I'll give you the time back. So there's going to be a lot going on this channel, man. I know I've been scarce for the last few months, but as I say, I've been focusing on my career, focusing on my children, and focusing on getting myself on the straight and narrow in this mad life that we live in. And I'm in a better place than I could ever be. So I'm ready to attack this season. You know, there's always going to be ups and downs with Tottenham. We all know that. Probably get more views when there's the downs. Everybody wants to join in and see what madness I got to say when we lose. But yeah, you know, like I said, like, share, subscribe. Most importantly, hit the notification button. I want to get myself out there. You know, it's not for me. You know, if I could make money off this, brilliant. But it's just about me getting my opinion out. Speaking about Tottenham, communicating and socialising with others, and, you know, enjoying the season and going through the pain with a lot of other people. So that's what you should be doing when it comes to football, and that's what you should be doing in life. You know, if anybody is feeling pain or feeling down, chat to someone, man, and that's what I'm all about. Everybody that knows me is I talk a lot. Has the reason why this video took 40 minutes when it's only meant to take 20. But yeah, let's all talk, man. Let's all talk Tottenham. Let's all talk football. I hope you all have a blessed Tuesday. And that's it, man. So I'm wrapping up on that. See you in a couple of days. See you at the weekend. Hope you all have a blessed Tuesday. Love. Jacob on the one up top.